studentaid.gov and mobile app walkthrough, and coming attractions featuring Tate Chamberlain, lead user experience designer, and project manager Nick Dvorak.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining our session. My name is Nick Dvorak. I'm one of the project managers for FSA's digital platform, which includes studentaid.gov and the My Student Aid mobile app. I support the delivery of all digital platform releases, as well as the ongoing operations of the studentaid.gov website. My colleague Tate Chamberlain, say hi Tate.
Hello.
Who is the lead experience designer here at FSA. We're going to be walking you through the digital platform, focusing on major milestones since last year's conference, and also previewing new functionality that will be added in the coming months. First, I'd like to take a second to touch on the impetus for all of these major changes that led to the digital platform. NextGen is FSA's large-scale transformation effort with the goal of improving customer outcomes by making it easier for students, parents, and borrowers to engage with FSA and the programs that we administer. This effort will also modernize our systems, improve operational efficiency, and update and enhance our engagement with schools and partners. The Digital and Customer Care Program is a critical component of the NextGen FSA effort, and it has served as the foundation for significant changes to the customer experience with a focus on three major areas: a single front door for customers, a single set of customer contact tools, and personalized communications. Again, the point of all this is to improve the experience for our customers from learning about financial aid and filling out the FAFSA form to repaying their student loans. We want to meet our customers exactly where they are in the student aid lifecycle and give them the tools and resources to be successful during and after their post-secondary education. What exactly is the value to our customers? Through this effort, we've been able to offer customers a more personalized web experience that leverages what we know about them through our various systems. We're also working to be more connected with customers, giving them a single point of contact for information and support. And lastly, we want to anticipate our customers' needs, reach them where they are, and guide them to the right tasks and actions based on where they are in the student aid lifecycle. Simply put, the digital platform provides our customers with a single front door to FSA's programs and services. It includes the updated studentaid.gov and the upcoming release of the improved My Student Aid app. At last year's conference, we previewed the new studentaid.gov website. The site was released in December of 2019. Shortly after last year's conference, we had our first release where we launched the revised version of studentaid.gov, but we didn't stop with the initial launch. Since December, we have completed 4 additional major releases, and we anticipate launching the improved mobile app in the very near future. This work has enabled us to consolidate the content and functions of 5 websites so far, and we've delivered updated and new functionality which help deliver on the promise of the NextGen transformation. Our process with the digital platform is iterative, and we're continuously working to deliver new features as well as to improve on existing functions. Here we have a summary slide that provides a brief overview of a handful of features that are currently available on studentaid.gov. We'll touch on many of these features in more depth as part of our upcoming demo, but I wanted to touch on a few of these and highlight some improvements since last year's conference. The new version of studentaid.gov is the result of the consolidation of 5 FSA websites, nslds.ed.gov, fsaid.ed.gov, student loans and studentaid.gov, as well as borrowerdischarge.ed.gov. This was our first major step in ensuring that customers have a single front door for their interactions with federal student aid. If they want to create an account or an FSA ID, complete a master promissory note, view their federal aid history, and learn more about repayment plans, they no longer have to bounce back and forth between sites. We've enhanced the login and create account processes, including a new informational page that provides guidance to customers on who should create an account or FSA ID, along with what they'll need when creating an account. Another key feature that we've implemented is the dashboard, which is the first place a user is taken to after logging into studentaid.gov. The dashboard serves as customers' home base on our website that summarizes their aid information, highlights upcoming loan payments, and provides relevant content and checklists. Continuing the theme of personalized information, Aid Summary provides customers with information about their Title IV aid using data populated from the National Student Loan Data System, or NSLDS. Customers can view summary and detailed loan and grant information, loan servicer information, and details such as their remaining eligibility for direct loan and Pell Grant as well as their qualifying payment count toward public service loan forgiveness, and much more. We've also debuted Loan Simulator, which replaced our previous repayment estimator tool. Loan Simulator features 3 modules that can help borrowers find a repayment strategy that meets their goals, figure out how to manage their loans when they are struggling to make payments, and plan a repayment strategy if they would like to borrow more. The 3rd module for borrowing more was just released in early November, and Kate's going to be covering that in more detail during the demo. In addition to the new features that we've added to the site over the course of the past year, we've also redesigned a number of the legacy studentloans.gov forms and flows. The functionality was not changed, but the design has been updated to make them more user-friendly and bring them in line with the revised look and feel of studentaid.gov. In this example, you can see how the Direct Plus loan application used to look on the left and how it looks on the right as of early November of this year. This has really emphasized the significant number of changes to studentaid.gov since last year, and to reiterate that we're always looking for ways to further enhance the customer experience. Now, we're going to move into the more interesting part of our presentation and show you the digital platform. First, we'll cover studentaid.gov, and then we're going to demo the upcoming version of the My Student Aid app. We'll walk you through a number of tasks from the perspective of how a customer might use the website. All of the web functionality we're demonstrating is currently available to customers, but is new since last year's conference update. As a user who's looking to complete a number of student loan related tasks, I've gone ahead and opened up my web browser and navigated to studentaid.gov, where we'll land on the homepage. The first thing that we'll highlight, and which is front and center, are the login and create account buttons. This is really emphasizing the fact that we want the user to log into the website so that we can take them to their personalized account dashboard. Upon selecting the Create Account button from either the Hero section on the homepage or from the top navigation in the right-hand corner, we're now directed to a landing page that provides clear information on who should create an account and what information they'll need to provide. A top reason customers contact FSA contact centers is for issues related to their FSA ID, including issues with logging in and forgotten credentials, so we've tried to make everything as explicit as possible. We're not going to create an account. You can refer to last year's presentation for a detailed walkthrough. That was session 29. So I'll go ahead and select the login button here. I can either enter a username or verified email or phone number along with my password in order to log in. Oops, triggered a validation error there. With the 3 options, hopefully customers are able to remember at least one of them along with their password, but if not, they have the option to recover their username or password using a verified email or phone number. Luckily for me, I haven't forgotten my username or password, so I will go ahead and enter my information here. And then I will go ahead and accept the disclaimer, and we'll be taken over to the dashboard. So now that I'm logged in, I can really begin to see the personalized info and content that's served up to me. The first thing I notice is the My Aid tile, which clearly shows the total value of my outstanding loan debt. Actually, let me close out Aiden for now. Along with the total amount of grants that I've received so far. If I wanted further information, I could select the View Details button in the top right corner, but we won't be clicking into Aid Summary since it was covered in last year's presentation. Again, that was session 29. In addition to the View Details link, I can also access Aid Summary from the top menu here. Moving over to the right, because I have received federal loans, I also notice that I've got a couple of upcoming payments due. I'm able to see who my servicer is, when my payment is due, and that I can use the Make a Payment pilot to make a payment right on studentaid.gov. This is because I have loans with one of the 2 pilot servicers. Since I'm actually with both pilot servicers, which are Great Lakes and Nelnet, I see Make a Payment as the button option, indicating that I can make a payment on studentaid.gov. If I was with a different servicer, I'd see Pay on Servicer website instead as the button option. Below that, I can see the status of the feedback case that I recently submitted, and there are a couple of other items that I might be interested in as a user. I noticed that there are cards below my status center case with actions that I may want to take. These are personalized based on the fact that I have Aid on file and that I'm currently in repayment. And further below that, I can see that there are some additional links with actions that I may need to take. These are evergreen links and could be applicable to me across many points of my financial aid life cycle. So if I scroll back up toward the top of the page, the next thing that I'll notice, is that I've got a couple of notifications, looks like 5 to be exact. So I'm going to go ahead and select the bell icon here at the top of my screen, and we'll be taken over to the notification center. And so this is consistent in the header of the site when the user is logged in. So as long as I remain logged in, I will see this in my header. The notification functionality is intended to mirror that of what you'd see on popular social media platforms, but of course it's alerting users to even more important information. Again, our focus here is on the user receiving personalized notifications based on their current situation. Nearly 20% of all calls annually to our servicers are about account status and billing questions. So this is just another way we're able to surface information on repayment, info, and key tasks, no matter where the user is on the site once they're logged in. For my situation here, I can see that I've got a couple of important updates. I can see that my IDR recertification date is coming up, that I have a disclosure and correspondence to read through, and I also have payments that were not posted. Some of our notifications will group together when the user has more than one of the same type. The intent of grouping the notifications is to reduce clutter and prevent customers from being overwhelmed. Payment canceled is actually one of the notifications that we'll group together. So since I've taken note that a few of my payments were posted, I will go ahead and mark one of these notifications as read by selecting the check mark on the right. And because I had more than one payment that wasn't posted, you'll see that the notification actually ungroups once it moves to the red section, and the language is slightly different to account for two individual notifications, including the date the payment wasn't posted. And if we scroll up to the top, you will also notice that the number of notifications in the corner decreased from 5 to 4. Most other notifications are selectable and would direct the user to the appropriate spot on the site. But right now, I don't actually want to take action on any of the remaining notifications, so I'll leave them be for the next time that I log in. So again, using the menu at the top, we can go ahead and navigate back to the dashboard from here. Landing back on the dashboard, I now want to check on the status of my feedback case. This functionality that we're demoing here is for a feedback center case, but we actually just added the ability to check on the status of bar defense applications in early November. For the purposes of the demo, we're going to pretend it's been a few days since I submitted my case, so I want to quickly remind myself of the details of that case. More than 3/4 of feedback cases are resolved relatively quickly through follow-up or clarification by FSA. However, some cases require additional research or information and can take longer to resolve. In these cases, the Status Center helps us to improve transparency into the status of the cases. So I will go ahead and select the case so that I can drill down in the details and refresh my memory. I've now landed on the case details page for the case that I'd selected. I can see the status of the case, which is that it's in review, a description of my case, which is that I had trouble accessing my aid, the section of the site, of course, not my actual aid, on my mobile device, whether I've uploaded any documents, which I haven't, and whether I've previously tried to communicate with a customer service representative, which it also looks like I haven't. Now that I've refreshed my memory on the details of my case, it doesn't look like there's anything else for me to do based on the status of the case. If there was, I'd see an action requested status in the upper left-hand corner there instead of the in review status that it currently is. This was just a quick demo into what a user might expect to see for a feedback case, and it highlights how a customer could submit additional documents or submit a message for their case if they wanted to. So while I'm still in the Status Center, I realize that I've got a few questions and I can't remember where to find the information I need. Instead of navigating through the website or searching through the menu, I can actually use Aiden to help me out. FSA wanted to improve the customer experience by providing customers with more self-service options, so we launched Aiden, a virtual assistant that can answer questions about federal student aid. Aiden uses artificial intelligence and natural language processing to answer the most common questions from users. Aiden has a number of capabilities. For example, I can quickly check my account balance to see what my loan debt is. So using the I've got another question option, I can ask Aiden, what is my balance? Aiden provides a response, which includes my total loan debt, as well as the grants that I've received, which can be viewed by scrolling across on the cards to the right. We can scroll back to the left here. For the purposes of our demo, we'll say that I see that loan balance and it reminds me that I want to find out more information about public service loan forgiveness. Again, here's where I can utilize Aiden. I will type in where is PSLF. Aiden's going to come back with a variety of responses, and I can select the one that I want, which happens to be the second one here, which will direct me to the PSLF page. So I'll select that. Aiden is then going to provide a link to the page, so I will go ahead and click that to get taken to the page. So now I'm at the page I want and can begin perusing the FAQs. Specifically, let's say I'm interested in where I should submit my form. I'll select that FAQ from the menu on the left. So after reading through it, I realize that I don't know if FedLoan is my servicer. Again, we can pull Aiden back up and ask the question, who is my servicer? So I will go ahead and do that now. There we go. As you can see, this shows me that FedLoan is not currently one of my servicers, which will be helpful to know for when I eventually apply for public service loan forgiveness. Aiden really is a great resource for helping getting those commonly asked questions answered. The tool, is currently in beta as of the time of this recording, which means it's limited to only a portion of users right now, but it's going to be available to all customers in the very near future. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Tate, who's going to continue with our journey through studentaid.gov.
Thanks, Nick. And again, I'm Tate Chamberlain. I'm a lead user experience designer here at Federal Student Aid. And so as Nick established, let's say that I'm interested at this point in PSLF. And after looking at the info on this page and through Aiden, the PSLF help tool caught my eye. So that looks helpful. Let's take a closer look. In June 2020, we delivered the first enhancement to this tool with information about employer eligibility in real time through an employer database. But more improvements are on the way soon and actually have just recently been released. I'll be breezing through this feature now because there's an additional session where you can learn more. As you can see, as we go through quickly, further enhancements to the PSLF help tool that were just released include a visual refresh and additional features that help users understand their eligibility, keep track of their progress, and apply for both PSLF and temporary expanded PSLF through the same application. To learn about these improvements in detail, you can go to breakout session 16 on Wednesday at 3:45 p.m. with Ian and Christine. Next, let's imagine that I'm taking out additional loans and have been told to complete the annual student loan acknowledgement, which you can get to from here on the mega menu, something also I'm sure is just top of mind for a lot of folks watching now. Again, we won't be going into that feature here, but it will be covered in much more depth with breakout session 27 later today at 3:30 p.m. with Shanique. Be sure to check that out if you're interested in ASLA, as Shanique will walk through the current feature and some improvements planned based on usability testing. You'll want to see how we're continuing to refine these features, which are very important to our users based on their feedback. Now let's imagine that after learning a bit more about PSLF and the annual student loan acknowledgement, I'm thinking I might want to take out additional loans. How can I find out what the impact of that would be? Well, I'm in luck because the new loan simulator module is here to help. Let's go ahead and check that out now. Last year, we introduced you to Loan Simulator and the repayment strategy intent. And if you're interested, you can still view that demo online. Again, as Nick said, look for the breakout session 29 from the 2019 FSA conference. And since then, we've also launched a second module, I'm Struggling with My Payments. This second flow guides borrowers who are having trouble making or keeping up with loan payments. And again, I'm going to just very quickly breeze through this particular intent. But as I go through it, I'll just note that it helps borrowers understand if they should consider temporarily pausing payments or enrolling in an income-driven repayment plan, and walks borrowers through the most common types of deferments and forbearances. It also allows users to simulate these options to see how these options would affect everything from their principal to their monthly payments based on different scenarios. But since that intent is already launched and you can try it out for yourselves right now after a little bit, I'm going to move on today to a walkthrough of our newest addition to the Loan Simulator, the Simulate Borrowing More module. This third module of Loan Simulator, which you can see here, which just launched last month, helps borrowers determine the impact of borrowing more federal loans on their repayment strategy and their monthly payments. Before we begin, I do want to highlight that Loan Simulator currently is not able to account for interest rate fluctuations, including the current 0% interest period for COVID-19 relief. So Loan Simulator currently assumes 0% interest for the life of the loan, and to get around this current limitation, borrowers can log out and manually input their loan and interest rate information if desired. But let's go ahead and get started now. Again, you can see that we start with a wizard to guide users through the tool in order to personalize their results. Here, we'll select that we're taking out a loan for a current program rather than a new one. What you notice as we continue to answer questions here down below is that school, location, and name are optional. For undergraduates, this lets us provide more accurate estimates using college scorecard data in later steps, but we always want users, and here particularly we're thinking of graduate students, to feel that we're not asking for more than we need to in order to help them with informed decisions. I'll go ahead and enter some test data values, and then we'll move forward. For sensitive topics, we again always want to be mindful about letting users know why we're asking these questions. Here, we're asking how much money does your family make each year, and a user might be suspicious about providing an answer, even if it's in a value range rather than as an exact amount. You can see here that in addition to the standard tooltip, we then provide a why do we ask this link that opens up a modal and explains that College Scorecard uses the information to determine an estimated annual cost. So we'll move on from here. Now, obviously, a lot of users will have trouble quantifying how much they need to borrow. So we provide several options here. First, users can use this College Scorecard estimate here on the right based on the school they selected previously. Or if they want a more accurate estimate, they can go through a full calculation, including the annual cost of the program they're attending, as well as additional sources of income they can expect, such as grants, scholarships, or work study, and EFC if applicable, and use the result of that calculator to automatically populate the answer. We never want users to get stuck and feel like they can't move forward or simply have to guess. You can see that that was thus populated. We'll move on from here. Again, for the expected yearly salary question, users can enter their own value or pull estimates from College Scorecard and use the suggested average. I'll note here, though, that at the moment, these are average values for the institution rather than by degree program. Future improvements may bring in program level data, which we know would be more accurate for most users. And that value is again pulled directly into the field. And as usual, when we have a likely value, such as a 5% annual growth in income, we pre-populate the field, though we do allow users to change it if desired. I'll go fairly quickly through the next few screens, which are fairly standard questions, noting that I'm single, and then entering in the number of dependent children and other dependents that I might have. My loan information is then pulled in directly from NSLDS, as with the other intents, with the option of manually adding loans just for this session. I'll note that they're not saved. And from here, we get to the results page. While the repayment strategy module recommends a repayment plan and the struggling with payments module offers a comparison of options, here we're focused on the change in the borrower's financial situation, in particular their total loan amount and their change in monthly payments. We default to using the standard repayment plan as a basic benchmark, but we also allow users to see how this additional loan would affect them if they were on an income-driven plan. There are two additional key features on this results page. First is a burn down chart, so that I can see how that balance changes over time, as well as how much longer it might take me to repay my new total loan amount. And of course, how my repayment plan would change both of those values. Second, while we know that the principal balance is the most obvious change, we also want to make sure users understand the immediate impact of those additional loans. So we also calculate changes in their monthly payment, highlighting the difference. If I click over on this tab, right down below it, as well as quantifying the interest per day with relatable analogies that can be seen being refreshed here. And as with all Loan Simulator intents, we end with a series of additional tips and suggestions for next steps. At the end of this intent, our goal is to give users the confidence to understand the impact of borrowing more money, so that they can make informed decisions about the total amount they borrow and their anticipated monthly loan payments. Now let's imagine that I've run the numbers and I'm comfortable with going back to school. So I'm thinking about the FAFSA and also keeping an eye on my current payments and loan status. And I want to do it all from my mobile phone. As Nick said, well, the studentaid.gov features have just recently been released. The app is upcoming and will be released very shortly. New features will continue to be introduced over the next year, but we're using a phased approach that starts with the key customer tasks and core account functions that users need and want in a mobile format. For the look and feel of the app, we've also worked to leverage the current website design style and functionality with additional adjustments to ensure an optimal mobile app experience and to learn from our ongoing usability testing and user feedback. This release builds on the core My Student Aid app functionality with a lot of personalized information that will now be available natively within the app. From the account creation process to the dashboard and aid summary to building on the app's push notifications with the addition of the notification center from studentaid.gov. And future releases will include additional core functionality, including the annual student loan acknowledgement, the MPN, and FAFSA corrections, all of which are currently in development. So there's a lot to look forward to. But what's changing now? On the left, we have the current app home screen, and on the right is the app refresh. But this is more than just a cosmetic change, so let's jump right into the demo again. Right from the start, you can see that we've emphasized the enhanced login experience and personalization by making it quicker for users to log into their dashboard with the username and password fields immediately visible. This is also an example of an enhancement that is coming first to the mobile app, but is also pending for web, with login fields being shown directly on the homepage for studentaid.gov in the future. The Create Account core functionality is also now native to the app, instead of currently being an in-app browser experience. Scrolling down, you can also see that announcements and a new link to blog articles are present lower on the page. These are the same announcements that are visible on the studentaid.gov site. And then going back up, you can see that key alerts such as for COVID-19 here will actually be more prominent at the top of the screen than in the current app. I'll go ahead and sign in with a test user. I'll click Login, accept the standard government disclaimer, and we are then taken to our personalized dashboard with our loan information and all the same information that's currently available on my studentaid.gov dashboard. After opening the menu, I'll just note that it's being optimized for the current app to reduce clutter and to accommodate a host of new features coming in future releases with these 3 new categories that you can see here, and with personalization options right at the top under the user's name. Naming conventions will align with external sites and the website for a more seamless experience, such as with the FAFSA that you can see here. And the FAFSA-specific menu options, which you'll note are absent here, have been moved from the main menu into the FAFSA itself with a FAFSA-specific floating menu, which we'll show in a moment. Another navigation enhancement that's front and center, which you can see here, is the bottom navigation drawer. This puts key features within the thumb zone. If you have a phone right now, you can feel that this lower area is the most comfortable place for tapping while using the phone one-handed. And while the FAFSA is just one of the reasons to use the app now, it's still a key feature with a lot of prominence in this bottom nav, second from the left. It's important to note, though, that these options won't be visible in the FAFSA or when completing other form flows. We always want to be mindful of crowding smaller screens and to not distract from completion of user flows with an accidental thumb press, so that bottom nav will go away. These options can also be changed in the future. For instance, Help Center may be replaced by Virtual Assistant when available as a helpful tool for quickly answering questions, which you saw Nick demo on the desktop earlier. Scrolling down now to see a bit more of the dashboard, you'll note that it's important the features that we're reviewing in the mobile app have the same content and functionality as the website, but with some minor updates for a mobile app experience. The dashboard is no different, with the same key elements available as on the web. But as you can see, with some enhancements such as these sliding carousel cards, and additional color coding here for grants and loans. Also, the placement of the View Details button is at the top rather than at the bottom of the MyAid card for faster access on small screens. Going in to view MyAid summary details, by clicking on that View Details button, you can now see that again, we have the same information available on the app as on the mobile responsive website. With each section, we've broken it down into multiple pages, such as loans or grants, rather than progressively displaying more and more information on the same page so that the scroll length doesn't get overwhelming. And if we go here to payment history, we can see that filter options, which on the mobile responsive site would take up half of the screen on a smaller device, is now condensed into a single line so that the functionality is preserved, but the payments themselves are front and center for users, knowing that most will want to scroll rather than filter. And the payment breakdown is available in a lower level or nested screen. Moving on to notifications, here again, anyone familiar with the Facebook or other social media notifications should feel right at home, and this is really a perfect complement to the existing push notification functionality of the app. As Nick already pointed out for desktop, everything from missed payments to new correspondence is visible here, and after clicking on a notification, we can see it move down to the red notifications section. And knowing that we're on touch screens, I can swipe to mark items as read, as you just saw, just as you can in similar apps like your email app probably. Moving now over to the FAFSA, you can see that the roles-based flow is preserved but updated and now shifted to the FAFSA form specifically rather than while logging into the app as a whole, since there are other things the user can do on the app now outside of the FAFSA form. We don't have time here to go more in depth on the FAFSA, but I'll just note that due to the importance and complexity of the FAFSA form, our focus has been to provide a seamless transition to the new design, which you can see here, with small improvements made where possible. Here, for instance, I'll enter a save key and jump to one such improvement, which is the household size question. Here you can see that this new household size card appears above the relevant question to remind you of the household size value which you calculated earlier. So that here, for example, in the subsequent question, you can use it to answer how many dependents will be enrolled in college without having to remember what you previously entered. Again, we never want users to have to remember values when we can present it to them in the context within which they need it. So I just want to emphasize that our goal with the expansion of mobile app functionality is to maintain parity with desktop functionality for any feature we're bringing over, as well as prioritize the top tasks for users and the personalization and features that would most benefit from a native mobile app experience. We're looking forward to the upcoming release of the improved mobile app and launching additional features in the very near future. Now back to Nick.
We wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the upcoming and recently released features that we're excited about. As we quickly covered earlier, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF help tool, helps borrowers determine their eligibility for the PSLF program, and the tool had two major updates this year in June and also in early November. These improvements help ensure that borrowers understand their eligibility, submit accurate forms, and can better track their progress. Key customer improvements include a more intuitive interface and clearer prompts on how to manage their eligibility for the program, a searchable employer database that borrowers can use to determine if their employer is eligible to meet the employment criteria for the program, and a new loan eligibility section that provides details on the eligibility of each of their loans for the program, the number of qualifying payments made, and actions to take to make sure their ineligible loans do qualify for PSLF. Finally, in addition to the updates to the tool, FSA launched a single form that borrowers can use to certify employment when they change jobs or when they're applying for forgiveness. So do be sure to check out Ian and Christine's session for more details. In early November, we integrated the Borrower Defense to Repayment application within studentaid.gov. The new Borrower Defense application is an integrated smart form that leverages data about the borrower's enrollment and aid history, provides an improved user interface, and includes information on steps after they submit an application. Finally, later this year, we will be redesigning the entrance and exit counseling flows to improve the user experience. Additional details will be provided in the upcoming months, but an important point here is that nothing will impact the information schools receive in COD. And that concludes our presentation. We really do appreciate the opportunity to share some updates on studentaid.gov and the mobile app with you all. And we look forward to the new features and improvements that are on the horizon. FSA is committed to sharing updates about new and upcoming features as they become available. But please feel free to stop by our virtual table for our sessions later this week if you do have additional questions.